Ooh.
Hello. Hey guys.
Hey everyone.
Welcome back to JA Millionaire Circle. If you're new here, I'm Jazmin and this is Angelica. We're two ambitious Latina women sharing our real-time journey toward becoming millionaires. While many talk about their path after they've made it, we thought it'd be powerful to share ours as it unfolds. Join us as we tackle challenges, build an elite mindset, and we aim to inspire women from underprivileged backgrounds to chase their dreams.
Woohoo.
So, welcome. And if you guys have been following us, you'll notice today we kind of tweaked our intro. So, explaining why I kind of stuttered over it. We got a comment over last week from a longtime follower, like from the beginning. And she mentioned how, and this is great feedback. We always want feedback. She mentioned how it sounds as if we had already made it to millionaire status. And I wanted to make sure that we're not misleading anybody. When you watch back to episode 1, we explain how we came up with the name JA Millionaire Circle. And I'll explain really quick. Angelica and I started over a year ago, we started holding a phone call that we called the Millionaire Circle. And we would have a weekly call, just her and I, to try to inspire one another, motivate one another, and hold one another accountable as we chase after our dreams. And we started realizing, considering, our backgrounds, where we came from, how we had to have certain mindsets, how we overcame certain challenges. We thought, man, this is great stuff. We should record it and we should put it on a podcast and share with other women and see if maybe this information can help them. And we just wanted to, give it out to the general public. So that's where we came up with Millionaire Circle. And again, we are on our way. We are on the journey. We just thought so many people talk about it after the fact. And it's so easy to talk about it after the fact.
Once you made it, right?
Yeah, it's so easy once you've made it. But there's a real strength and vulnerability the way we're doing it. And I haven't seen anybody else do this, where we actually share it as it's happening in real time and showing and being vulnerable enough to share, hey, this is the vision that we see. And even though we're not there yet, these are the challenges we're overcoming. These are the
experiences.
Yeah, the experiences. These are what we're implementing. And we're going to have real live as it's happening documentation of how we got there. And that's how much we believe in ourselves. And that's how much we believe in you guys. So that's why we're bringing it to you live. Yeah. So that's kind of what I just wanted to make sure we clarify that, but we're always looking to improve. Again, please engage, send your comments, send your questions. We'll never get offended. We want to make sure that this podcast brings you guys value, because we're not doing it for any other reason but to share and hopefully improve our lives and your lives as well. So enough about that. Let's jump into the topics at hand. This week's topics, oh my gosh, this is all Angelica, and I'm looking forward. I was like, yes, this is a great topic. So the two topics that we're going to be covering, which I would have never thought, because this is not something I normally think about, but it's choosing your enemies wisely. That's the first topic. And then the second topic we're going to be talking about is overcoming failures. So I'm going to give it over to Angelica. And what was it about choosing your enemies that has been on your heart, on your chest? What's going on? What are you thinking?
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to talk about this one because I feel like we both have several things to say about this, and I'm just excited. So if I trip over my words, sorry, I'm just overly excited. But it's recently come to my attention, with this book that I've read with Patrick Bet-David. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And so I kind of just been reading it online. And so I had different, versions and I'd say thoughts after reading it. And it made me feel differently than what I did when I was younger. When you're little and someone steals your pencil, but when you grow up and then you make a name for yourself and you actually outdo the things you didn't know that you were going to do, you start making people mad. People want to see you do good, but there's a lot of people that They say they want to see you do good until you're doing better than them, you know. So you just have to be a little cautious when you do succeed. There are things that change, people change, energy changes, you can sense it, but it doesn't mean that the reality of having enemies is a wrong thing. A lot of people think, oh, haters, you know, I don't think it's a negative thing at all to have. I think it's great. I think it's something that we need in our life to grow, you know, like I would use one for an example. I went through a breakup and the girl immediately attacked me for something, and I went and got like fixed it, you know, like a filler or Botox or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, wow, I don't know how being pleasantly, not pleasantly satisfied, you know, how did that matter to you? But thank you, because you gave me criticism to be better for myself. I wasn't even mad. I was just like, cool, you helped
So
me.
you took like the enemy's feedback of like, all right, cool, noted. All right, let me level up.
Yeah, I was like, thanks. I didn't know my ugliness bothered you.
You
You
didn't
know,
let it crush you. You're like, all right, thanks for the feedback. Cool. Honored.
exactly. And it helped me in the way that, like, reading that book and stuff, it changed my life. And, you know, why do enemies matter, right? Like, that's something that people will probably think after listening to these few words that we've said. And I, I don't think that enemies are obstacles. You know, I think that I want to say I think of an enemy as like a mile marker to how far you've come. Like,
Wow.
okay, you went from stealing a pencil to stealing you know, a girlfriend's man, or, you know, I'm
Mhm.
just being funny. I wouldn't do that, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe she got jealous after she left him. She didn't see something good in him. I don't know. I'm just using those hypothetical
Uh,
scenarios.
I've never quite understood this, and I'm sure as you keep talking, it's probably going to finally click for me. But like, you've heard of the comedian Cat Williams, right? And he talks about like how important it is to have haters. And he's like, if you're a girl and you've got, you know, 15 haters, you got to figure out how to get to 20 by the summer. Like, but I still like, to me, it sounds funny, but help me understand, why is it an important thing to have haters, like to have enemies?
Well, I would also, not everybody deserves the title as an enemy. Some are fans, you know. You can't put someone on a caliber like that to give them that title. It's too much power. You know, for an enemy, when you see someone, you're thinking of them. You're afraid of their opposition because it's a threat. So you're giving that person a title. So make sure they're at least better than you. You know?
Dang, you're like, they're just fans. Oh my God.
Sorry, I don't mean to get cocky. It's just like something.
That is amazing.
Staying physically strong and mentally strong has definitely gave me this boost and this confidence of who I am and why I feel this way, that I'm on fire and this is something we should talk about. Like, and
Yeah.
there are, I would say, so I even wrote like an analogy. Okay, say you're cleaning your kitchen, there's a mosquito, there's a spider, maybe there's a roach. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're living in good conditions. You
Yeah.
see one, right? But those aren't your enemies. They're just a pest. You just stomp on it and move on. You know, they don't deserve the title as an enemy. Like, why would I give a roach a title of an enemy? It's not that serious, you
Yeah.
know? But I also like to think about it like, okay, if someone is gonna have that title, I need to make sure they're coming with the heat. Like, they can't be someone that's just not disciplined and someone that just doesn't have a sense of directions. Why would I hate on somebody that doesn't even have that? You
Yeah.
know,
It's
like,
not even
at
somebody you
least.
would switch places with.
Right. So like that's what I mean when I say fans. It's just noise. It's background noise, right?
Mhm.
Like it's I don't know, I wouldn't give too much power into it. And I think it's important when you do choose these people and give them that title as your enemy. I think it's important to understand, okay, you're measuring yourself while you're giving someone that title. So make sure when you're thinking of someone as your enemy, you are unknowingly measuring your life with theirs. You're comparing and you're putting them at a caliber at which you think you are or where you are. And I don't think a lot of people deserve to be measured. Like they shouldn't even be relevant, you know?
Yeah,
But
no,
there
that
are,
totally makes sense because if somebody is completely non-threatening to you, they would not even be your enemy. You'd be like, again, they'd be a pest. They're annoying. You're like,
right, it's a fan behavior kind
yeah.
of thing. And I feel like enemies are not openly going to tell you they're they're going to sneak. They're going to move in silence and they're going to probably have a problem with you that they're not going to admit. So you just have to be extra cautious.
Why do you think they would even become an enemy? What do you think causes them to be an enemy?
I think if you piss someone off, or I think, okay, maybe take it a step back. I would
Mhm.
say if I have enemies because, and I wouldn't even say enemies. They're like little enemies, little league enemies that I maybe had said things prior in my past, but honestly, if I didn't have that, like pissing someone off, excuse my French, if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't stand for something that I believed in. There's a lot of people that are not in my life because I stood for something I believed in. And to me, I know my values, I know my morals, I know where I stand with that. And so sometimes eliminating people out of your life just to go to the direction you're headed towards is helpful. And I hope that's kind of
Yeah,
clarifying.
yeah, that makes sense. And in that process, somehow this upset those people and they turned into enemies along the way. So when somebody becomes your enemy, like, are they just wanting your demise or are they actually creating chaos for you? Like
For me,
something.
my experience,
Hmm.
I would feel I have very few. Like I would say most of them are fans, but maybe one or two that have made me really want to level up. Like I'm like, oh wow, like there are certain things that I've actually gained and learned from someone, and they do deserve the title as an enemy. You know, you're doing more than me. You do deserve that title. But until I feel confident enough to surpass that, you're no longer an enemy. You're no longer a threat to my goals or opposition. Not that they're going to come for my life, everybody has a different view of what their life is.
Why does there have to be an opposition? Why can't they just be inspirational? Why does there
A
have
lot of people aren't pure hearted like us. We're girls. There's a lot of women that are like, oh, she's hotter than me, I gotta go get a surgery, or you know what I mean? There's not a lot of nice people that have the purpose that we have, um, to feel confident. A lot of these people, that's why I said they're just directionalists. Like they don't have directions, they don't have a sense of direction. So they're going to hate you for having that purpose, but they're going to try to emulate you in some form to
yeah.
get part of the satisfaction you get from being yourself. That gives you the confidence to be who you are because you have this strong sense of direction.
So these people are operating out of a place of jealousy, out of a place of lack and scarcity, because apparently they think you have something that they don't. Yeah, so they're not functioning
Absolutely.
out of that abundance and purity of heart.
Right. And that's okay. That's fine. But, I feel like too, it takes a very specific person, and I don't want to put a label on it, but
Mhm.
or identify this as a label, but it might be insensitive to say, but a lot of weak individuals gossip. They
Mhm.
make a lot of noise, they complain, they throw cheap shots or whatnot, but I feel like your real enemies they're gonna be the ones that are worth having your attention.
You make a really good point on the gossiping part. Like I'm noticing this now more and more as I evolve, as I get older, and as I'm on my purpose. Like I don't have time to play around. Like everything is on the line right now for me. My finances, my life, my purpose, everything is on the line right now. There is no room for error. So to me, I can't imagine wasting one moment just sitting there talking crap about somebody. I can't imagine wasting an ounce of my time doing that because like even for instance, I have like my little part-time job. I come in and I come out. Like I work on commission. I don't have time to chit chat. We got commission to make. Let's go make these sales. Let's make
There
this
you
money and
go.
let's get out. I'm like
Yeah.
in and out. And then like, we might have a lull or something. And then somebody's talking about how much they hate this person, how much they hate that person. I'm like, okay, you said it once. And now it's like day 2, day 3, and you're still talking about this person. Why are you giving them that much real estate? Move on.
Exactly. At this point,
Focus
it's
on your
deflecting.
purpose. What was that?
Right. It's deflecting from your equity. Like you're just
Yes.
negative equity. Why would you want to walk around like that? You're like giving
Focus
low
on
battery.
focus on making your money. Focus on living a life of purpose. Don't give that person that much real estate in your brain. Good God. I'm like,
I
oh, I
agree.
don't have time to be talking about anybody. I'm too busy making money.
Yeah,
You're
and that's
good.
but you have purpose. These
Yeah.
people are doing it because it's their full-time job. That's what they do.
Yeah.
You're doing it as a goal. You have a goal to get out. You have a vision. You got your plan. These
Yeah.
people
I
don't have a
clock in,
plan.
clock out. I'm like, let's make some money. Let's get out. Okay. Like outside of here, I am pushing the business. I am working on my website. I am networking. I am, following up on leads. Like there's so much to be doing. I'm like, it just blows my mind. So I'm noticing this difference when somebody has a real purpose versus somebody who's just got, when you're kind of running in circles, you're just choosing anything to distract you, I guess.
I
But yeah.
agree. It's challenging. I feel like, well, you can think of it in a positive way too. Like enemies can be very resourceful. Like I said earlier, somebody told me that I needed to fix something and I went to go fix it. So you can use it to your advantage, but I mean, I just feel like they could be used as fuel. They could be used to sharpen you in little ways, but it's up to you to have that mind to cultivate that.
I agree with you. I don't think I would have used the word enemy, but like in the past in my career, like for example, I used to work in medical device in sales and marketing, and I had learned along the way your toughest clients, which were surgeons, the toughest ones that gave me hell, that made my life hell, were the ones that elevated me, that
You raise the
made me
bar.
so freaking good. The ones that came with the complaints, the ones that challenged my knowledge, the ones that I just couldn't freaking make happy made me level up. So it was so funny because like years later, when I would go on interviews, I ended up talking about how, the toughest customers were the ones that made me the best at what I do because they made me level up. They made me raise the bar. So I guess I would use the word opposition when somebody is
There
your
you go.
opposition, because they weren't my
That's why they call them
enemies. They
op.
just, yeah, what?
They call them op.
Yeah,
Op.
yeah,
That
my
makes sense.
opposition. I'm like, please get on board.
Yeah, we're only here to find a solution,
Yeah,
and maybe I would clarify it differently. Like you said, like an opposition versus an enemy is
yes,
completely different because I feel like an enemy would be more of a malicious.
yes, malicious. Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And then you have like an op where it's like, okay, you're going to challenge me to step up, I got
Yes.
to find a solution. And I feel like some people, it's kind of funny to say this, but some people don't even qualify to be an enemy. Like you're not that, it's not that serious. And I feel like some people, like you said, are oppositions, some are enemies, but also some are like the enemies. I would say those are the ones that have the distractions. Those are the
Mhm.
ones that are giving you the fuel. And you recycle that out and you get a new enemy and you piss someone else off. But if you're not probably shaking things and making enough people upset, then you're not in the right caliber. You need to be somewhere where people do make you upset to want to be like, oh, I need to change this. I need to fix it. I need to step up. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I would never give somebody the advantage to call me fat because I'm in the gym every day, baby. Like, you know what I mean? So I have to make sure that I'm the best so that way I can do the best. But if I'm not in a position to do that or, physically, mentally, somebody's going to bring that out of me. Somebody's going to call me a lazy, fat, whatever. And then I'm going to be like, you're right. Let me get off the couch.
You're like, oh, that was right. That was right. Yeah.
Yeah, spot on. Like, thanks for calling me out, kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of it can probably be misinterpreted. Like, there can be rap battles with, we've had a few rap battles recently, and I
Mr.
feel like it's
Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
right. And I feel like it's just a little, I don't know. I think to myself, I'm like, wow, these people actually think that they're all on the same caliber. So they're just going back and forth. But at what point do you stop?
Mhm.
Because now you look silly. You allowed somebody to measure up to what you thought was a threat. Now their bar is your bar when you already were above the bar. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Shouldn't have stepped down.
Right. But a lot of people
Yeah.
fail, and that was something you want to discuss, right? Like
Yeah.
talking about failure.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go into failure, I had one last comment to add to like the choosing of the enemies. When we originally said we were going to talk about this, I was like, well, I mean, I don't know what I can add to this conversation because I I don't believe I have any enemies. My personality has always been I don't like confrontation. So I'm the type of person that would avoid a conversation. I would just run away from the conflict because I don't want any kind of confrontation. But one thing that I have learned is that's actually a very coward move. I've learned that if you want something to be resolved, you have to be brave enough to confront it. But just like anything else, it's all in your delivery and it's all in your approach. So let's say you have an issue with a friend. Let's say you have, and this person, you guys go way back. Rather than avoid the conflict, have a level mind and approach the person and like you're coming in with this sentiment. I love this person, we have a history, but these are the problems. They're breaking my boundaries, they're no longer aligning with my values. Let's talk about it. Let's have a real conversation on, like, if we are to move, in order for us to continue moving forward in this friendship, then these are my concerns. Are we able to meet somewhere halfway and resolve it? And these are hard conversations. Some people cannot do them. So it either turns into one or two things. It's either an extremely violent confrontation or it's nothing at all. And having to like have that control and walk that path right down the middle and say, I'm going to show you vulnerability and say, I love you, but I'm going to show strength and say, I need you to be able to fall within these parameters in order for us to move forward. If not, I'm going to have the strength to walk away from this relationship because it no longer serves either one of us. That's powerful. That's
Wow.
hard.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, because if you're not fighting for me, what's the point? We are supposed to fight for each other. We're supposed
Exactly.
to, you're the 5 people you're the most involved with. And if I consider you, if I'm in a personal level with you and I consider you that, then I expect the same expectations that I deliver,
Ugh,
I agree with you.
and it is hard, but like I've had to have these tough conversations with others, and others have had these conversations with me. Like, earlier last season, we interviewed my friend Allison, and we talked about how the confrontation we had led to us having a much deeper and more meaningful friendship. And I learned early on that if I wanted to maintain a friendship with her, I had to keep within her values and within her boundaries right out the gate. And I was like, oh, this girl has a high bar. So if I want anything to do with her, I have to act accordingly. That was my moment to choose. Do I want to continue, or I can just go ahead and walk away because clearly she has standards. And right?
That's deep.
I know.
Yeah. It's like I'm here. You either join me or I don't know what else to give you,
Yes. And that's kind of like the message I want to relay to, adding to our conversation of the enemies is, before somebody becomes an enemy, are you able to have a conversation first? Let's see if you can fight for that and come to some kind of resolution. And maybe this person can be your greatest ally rather than your opposition. But if you have this conversation and they still choose that path, cool. We know where you lie, we know where I lie, and I'll see you in the ring.
See you in the ring, baby. That's a good one. I'll see you in the ring.
It's like a UFC fight. All right, we're not.
Yeah. Yeah, see you in the ring, baby. Your team with my team. We can get richer faster.
May the best opponent win.
No, really. But it doesn't mean that we're gonna like keep up with every one of their moves. We're just gonna wish them the best,
Yeah.
like
Shake
there's
hands
just
and go your separate ways. That's
right.
cool.
We're playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the power move there. That's the power move. Like, before we walk away from this, can it be fixed? Can it be resolved intelligently and lovingly at the same time? And if not, shake hands and go our separate ways. I wish you the best.
Jeez, that's deep. Because like we talked about this earlier, like we were talking about failure. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we were talking about, you were like, well, I wanted to discuss part of failure. And I thought failure was part of enemies and part of relationships. And I thought it was important that, like, to me, okay, at a hard time in my life, I went through a breakup. The opposition told me I needed to fix something. I did. But at the same time, I learned something through the person that I was with in the past, and it led to failure. But without failure, I wouldn't have facing that adversity head on. I wouldn't be able to give the advice that I've learned to prevent someone else from going through what I went through. You know what I mean? Like, I feel no one ever you always have the greatest stories to tell when you have failure. That's what I was telling you earlier. The best stories come from failure. No one ever talks about the time that they won and won and won. Yeah, you do, but the most stories people want to hear are the ones that you failed. It's like everybody's rooting for the underdog all the time.
It's so true. Like when we were talking about this earlier, I was like, "Ugh, this one's a hard one for me to swallow right now because I'm getting my butt kicked right now. I'm at that stage of the entrepreneur journey where I'm still at the beginning because like I'm not even a year in and they're saying like you got to give it at least 3 years to really see a result. So I'm like I'm not even a year in. And this is the part where everything from my old life is getting dismantled, everything is getting taken away so we can rebuild. And, I'm still knocking on doors, following up on leads, like trying to build the business. And it almost feels like everything I'm doing is not producing a result just yet. So it's like, this one's a hard one to talk about because I haven't overcome the failure just yet. But what you were saying was like, look at the movies, look at the stories, like, this is the part of the story where everybody loves to see, the way they got their butt kicked, but then how they came back after it, how that failure, I love the words you used. You're like, without failure, how will you break? Oh my God. I was like, dang, girl, that was deep. I'm like, even I needed to hear that message. Without fail, I'm going to repeat it for the people in the back. Without failure, how will you break? If you're trying to produce something new in your life, something you've never done before, it may be necessary that you break because you have to start new. You have to break into something new. And I'm like, wow, the fact that she saw so much value in failure. And right now I'm like, failure sucks.
Oh, that is a hard one to swallow,
Yeah.
but it was right. It woke you up a little bit. Even for me,
Yes.
my life is kind of coasting right now, but I went through so much in my childhood and then in my early 20s that I feel like I'm on back pay with God right now. I'm like making sure the shoe doesn't drop, but I will be in the thick of it when it does come. But we have all these tools and we have each other to help each other because
Yes.
then I'm going to be able to lean on you when I need it and you're leaning on me that you
Yeah.
need it. One of us
Yes.
one of us has to be going through something so that way we can just bounce off of each other. We need one sane and it's okay for the other one to go and break off and do what they need to do and crash out. But we need to keep each other balanced. It doesn't mean that we don't want the best for each other and that we need to maintain this solace. I feel like it's important to have a little bit of a different thing with, our points of views and our opinions and our beliefs. I mean, I just feel like that is just going to sharpen you more. You're just putting more and adding more to your life, getting different versions of it.
And you bring up such a valid point. Like, so much of us want to gravitate towards people that just think like us, but there's a value and importance to have people. Yes, you should have similar values, but you want to have people in your circle that think a little bit different because that's going to expand your thinking. Because otherwise, you're going to stick within the same box. When you need somebody to kind of drop a little nugget that you're like, oh, I never thought about it that way. And that just expanded a whole nother path that I probably would have never considered. And
Right.
yeah, like that's why I love like when we get on here that we almost always bring two completely different perspectives.
No, we do. I was like, let's talk about enemies. And you were like,
I wouldn't have
you were
come
like,
at it from that
I
angle.
don't know. Yeah, I told her that when she told me her story. I was like, I have a completely different angle. And she said, save it for the podcast. Because like I feel like I thrive when I have people that don't like me or that I kind of know that I have a feeling
Oh,
that they
so
don't like
you
me.
love it. Okay, so this brings so much more understanding because like your TikTok is on private, so not a lot of people get to see this, but I've noticed that. I was like, your TikTok does a lot of I can see it trying to spark a reaction. And I'm like, why does she do that? Because like mine is always trying to be PC. Mine's always trying to be like make sure that I don't offend anybody. And you're like, no, let's go. You're like, I'm gonna say something controversial.
Yeah, I need a lot though because then I get anxiety. But I mean, I feel like if you don't have anything to stand up for, then who are you going to be? Like, who are you leading on to? Like, I don't get respect unless I piss someone off. Excuse my French. I feel like
Dang.
it's important.
What
I
does
need to
that
piss someone
mean,
off.
though? What does that
Well,
mean?
like, I feel like I stand for something whenever I go against someone's belief or opinion, especially when they try to criticize my life. Like, oh, you did this, your sister did that, who cares? You're poking at me and you're not even more successful than me. What the hell are you doing here criticizing me? Sorry.
Tell me how you really feel.
That was it was a little too much, but I just have that. Like, I know that, like, I like, okay, for instance, I don't even want to bring this up. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to go there.
No, say
But
it.
I
Say
just
it. You
feel like
already
it's
said it.
important. I went back home,
Hmm.
for a funeral. Rest in peace, my little cousin passed away, but um he died because he had a poor circle of friends, and I just didn't say anything. We kind of grieved, and then, one of them kind of posted something that stuck with me, and I was just like, that's not appropriate. I don't care if I'm in the Northeast. I don't care if I'm in Belize. Like, I'm going to tell you how I feel, and when it's not right, I'm going to tell you that's not okay. Challenge me. Why do you think that's okay? Because I need to know. I need to be challenged. I need to get checked from time to time. I need to know how far I can push it.
Yeah.
You know? It's just a challenge. Like, I can thrive off that. Like, what do you mean I can't do 150 sit-ups? I'll do 400 right now. Like, tell me what I can't do, because I'm going to go do it 10 times. And I'll come back and do it again.
I'll run
That's just
circles
how I
around you and
feel.
do it again.
Yeah, that's how I feel though. Like, imagine though, like, I feel like it's too, like, a sensitive topic when I talk about my, like, childhood and going to school. A lot of people were like, "Oh, you're gonna end up like your mother and your father, being incarcerated, drug dealers, blah blah blah," and even the family members thought that. And I'm like, nobody, tell me what I can't do, and I'll go do it, and I'll do some backflips while I'm doing it. You know, I don't know. I went through a lot, and I think that it really pushed me to my highest potential, because now I'm doing things that I didn't even think I could do. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have done it if I didn't have enough people to piss off.
So that's why you want haters.
Fuel my jet, baby. Like, I need something. I love
That
friends. I
makes
love the
okay, because I
love, but
never understood Cat Williams' like statement. I was like, why would you want him? Now I get it. Like in your case, it's almost like more people that hold you accountable. Like, okay.
exactly.
And it just makes you become better. You're like, okay, I have all
Right.
these people watching me, all of them wanting me to fall. Okay. All right.
Exactly. And that's why I said not everybody deserves that title as an enemy. Not everybody, there's probably not that many that qualify to be an enemy.
Mhm.
These are my standards. And if you can't match that, you're not an enemy. You're just a detail in my background. That's it. Maybe static on a TV. It's not relevant.
So different. We operate so different. I'm like, but in the end, it's still getting to the same goal. But I
In a different fire.
in a different fire. Yeah, for sure. Because I operate out of peace and love. I'm like such a
There's
hippie over
nothing
here.
wrong with it.
I
There's
know, and
nothing wrong with it.
you're like, bring the hate, baby, bring it.
Yeah, you need to, though. Really, like, come on. The most successful people have everybody has the most things to say about Andrew Tate, Donald Trump, Nicki Minaj, who else? Bad Baby, whatever her name
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
But it's unpaid marketing. Like, thank you. I'm a topic. It doesn't matter what topic I'm on. I'm just the topic, and that keeps me going, because now I'm like, okay, not only do I have to perform, but I also have to, like, walk it like I talk it, in and out of my everyday moves. You know what I mean? So that really just gives me the fuel that I'm like, I do get my fuel spiritually. I do ballet, I work out, but the head high, I'm like, tell me something I can't do, and I'll Michael B. Jordan this.
Oh my God. And what's so funny? I felt like I used to operate out of that, like this almost anger. It's what used to motivate me when I was younger. And it was like I had to prove my worth. I had to prove so much stuff. And it was always out of a place of like, I'm not good enough. I need to be better. I'm not, like, everything was either coming propelled from something negative. Like, um, I'm not beautiful enough. I need to level up. I'm not thin enough. I need to lose weight. I'm not this. And everything was coming from a negative place. And ever since I went through therapy, the narrative has changed. And, like, I mean, we probably talked about this, but I went through this lull where I was like, I had all this motivation, but it was driven by hate for myself, hate for, like, just so much negativity. Like, why did all that stuff in the past had to happen to me? I have to prove my value here in the world. And then I went through this lull where I was like, I don't have to fight anymore. I don't have to prove anything anymore. I'm just innately valuable. Like, it was almost like I took off all the armor. It's like, I don't have to fight anymore. And then trying to find the motivation again was having to rewrite it in my brain. I'm like, wait, how do I find motivation if it's not propelled by something negative? I didn't know how to function like that. And so I started gaining weight because I was like, what? I love myself now. So I'm like, everything got so comfortable because I was like, there's no more fight anymore. Now it took maybe 2 years of healing and then it came back. But now it's more like, okay, it's because I love myself that I'm going to stay at a healthy weight and I'm going to lose weight. It's because I love myself that I'm going to fight for a better future. It's because I'm worthy enough that I'm going to fight to become the first millionaire in my family. It is because I love my family so much that I want to be able to bring these experiences to them. I've found a way to propel it from somewhere positive. Like, I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to be loved. I deserve these things. So it's been an interesting way to rewire, because now, like, when I hear these motivational speakers, a lot of them are propelled by negativity, and they're like, a lot of their speech is like very angry and like, go do this and go do that. And I'm like, why are you yelling?
Why is it so much aggression?
Why?
No, I get it.
Like, even on TikTok, there's, like, I can't remember her name, but some girl, she's like gaining a lot of traction for, like, helping women get their houses cleaned and, like, a routine and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
But so I was like, okay, who's this girl everyone's talking about? And I watch it and I'm like, she is yelling the whole time. I'm like, she's like telling you, like, you need to have this kind of nighttime routine and this kind of morning routine, or otherwise, well, how are you going to live like? And I'm like, and people are responding to this? Like, why are we responding to negativity? Like, I don't
Wow.
function like that anymore. I'm like, if you come at me with any intense negative emotion, I don't respond
Ooh,
from that. Yeah. But
that means you've done so much work, though. And I have too. I've been in therapy for 2 years. Every Monday I go. I just went from two to one a week, and I get where you are because I am there too. And I do have a loving, like, I get a little hype, but it's because I channel it in a necessary way that I feel is beneficial to me. I
right.
still love myself. I love myself so much that I'll never give somebody the satisfaction of disappointing myself,
Yes, yes. I know that's
right?
where it comes from. Yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
for them listening, or anybody that's listening, I think that it's different perspectives, but they're both valuable perspectives.
Absolutely. And everybody functions differently. It doesn't mean that someone's right or somebody's wrong. Like, as long as you're happy and you're healthy mentally, physically, all of the above, and you're making progress towards those dreams and those goals, who's to say this one method is the right method? Everybody is different. So you have to find the method that works for you, that is productive for you, that isn't like destructive for you
And dangerous,
and
right?
dangerous.
Self-harm. You
Self.
don't want to go that far. I also stopped listening to any negative music like rap. I only listen to my house music, classical, because I notice what comes out when, it flares.
That's
So,
such a good point. We could probably do another episode on that, but I'm going to say one last comment on that. Like, okay, oh God, we could do a whole episode on this. I have chosen different music too as I went through my healing journey. Oh my gosh, it's like, for one, and then this is not putting down the artist because I was in love with this artist for many, many years. I followed him before he even came out on the scene when he was still underground. The Weeknd. I was a huge The Weeknd fan before he even came out with Drake, before any of that. Like, we're talking 2010, 2000, I want to say 2010 is when I was starting to listen to him before he even came out on the scene. And I got to see him in person, but his music his music is very niche. His music, and I'll just speak for me, this music spoke to people with daddy issues, which was me. And like you listen to those lyrics, it is a lullaby to a woman who has those wounds. And it always felt hypnotic. It always felt like this, it almost felt like a drug when I listened to his music, but I didn't realize it was almost like it was disguised as something that was really appealing, but it was something very dark. And I've realized now through my healing on the other side, I can't listen to that music anymore. It's almost like I have a very high vibration. And when I listen to his music, it brings me down. It almost brings me to a depressed state because it reminds me of the wounded woman I used to be. And I'm like, I can't go back down that path. And that music used to be so comforting. I was like, oh man, this man is describing me. This is me. This is how I function. This is what I do. And now it's like, oh no, I don't want to go back to that dark place ever
Oh
again.
my gosh.
I have to
Yeah,
limit
it's deep.
I have to limit his music now because of that. Like he just
Wow.
still has music that resonates with me, but I have to be very careful because I don't want to come down to that state again.
Which is the access.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I hope no one got offended with my little story and
Oh,
what
so what if you
propelled
did?
me.
So what if
I'm very sensitive for not being for being an insensitive person.
it's okay if people get offended. The point is that if it offended you, I would challenge you back and ask yourself why you were offended. Because nothing we're saying is trying to offend anybody. And if you found it offensive, I would reflect on the inside because this is the ownership that we have had to take in our therapy journey. If something triggered us, we have to ask ourselves why. It has nothing to do with the outside person, it has everything to do with the inside person. So if anything, reflect on it. Why did it offend
Yeah,
you? Something's going on inside you.
right. And there's two ways to handle it. You saw her perception, you saw mine. Mine's not that personal, but I love the music. I love the little fuel it gives me.
Yeah.
And so that kind of keeps me, you got to channel the anger somewhere and you can
it's
store it
gotta
in
go
different
somewhere for
compartments.
sure.
Right. So it can be stored in different compartments. That's fine. Just make sure you're utilizing it to push you to your fullest potential.
Yes. And on that note, we will wrap up. If you guys have any comments or anything or any subjects you would love to hear from us next week, we love the feedback. We're not afraid to do anything not confronting. I don't
Controversial.
like confrontation. Controversial. Controversial, like let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's make it interesting. The more we challenge one another, the more that we're going to grow. So don't be afraid to give us those tough questions. It'll help all of us. So on
Yeah.
that note, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every other week, and we want to hear from you. So let us know in the comments what topics you'd love for us to cover next. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making them a reality. Bye.
Bye, guys.